Hello and welcome to another Shadowshaper Duels video. In today's video I'm going to be discussing some of the changes that have been made to Shadowshaper Duels following today's maintenance, some of which are not even mentioned in the maintenance notes as far as I can see, and I suspect that is probably because they are bug fixes to certain cards and maybe they didn't want to draw attention to them. So let's get started with the biggest one, and in my opinion, the best one, and I am very glad to see this fixed. The card, the Disfavored, which you may have already seen from one of my previous videos I called the most broken card in the game, has now been fixed where it can no longer buff itself. You see here they have added the word different to its description, implying that it cannot apply the buff to itself. If you haven't watched my previous video, I'm just going to play a very quick clip showing what this card used to be able to do, and then I'm going to play some clips of me testing it to show how it now behaves when you try and apply the same strategy to it. So now I just want to see what happens if I play one ogre. Will it buff itself when it receives the buff from Pandora? No. Do you see? It received 2 and that is it. It did not buff itself. So now on my next round, I'm going to play the next ogre, and I'm curious to see if when the ogre, if they buff each other, what will happen. Will it start chaining or will it still stop? So let's see. No, so as you saw, they only buffed each other once and then it stopped. So I am now in another match. This time I have built a mostly hive deck, and what I want to test here is it possible for this ogre to give out its buff multiple times per round if it receives buffs from different sources. So as you just saw in the previous video, when the ogre received a buff from a different ogre, it did not create a looping effect, even though they were technically buffing each other. But this ogre is now inspired, which means it will already gain +1 power. But if I play this card here, it is going to be granted a power bonus. So I want to see if it will give out +2 power when it receives a power bonus, and then another +2 power when it is inspired. So let me just play this knight. It gives out the bonus, and the ogre provides the buff. And now when I end my turn, will it provide another buff? And yes, you see that it did. So as those clips just showed, this card can no longer apply a buff to itself, and even if you play 2 of them together, and they are classed as different hive, they will only buff each other once and then it stops. So you can no longer play one of them with a card or play 2 of them together to reach ridiculously high power bonuses. I'm very glad to see this fixed, because the higher rank I was getting, above rank 16 when this card was acquired, the more often I was seeing people playing this ogre, and was having to basically build my entire deck around trying to counter it. So it's good to now not have to always have a counter for this ogre in my deck. It definitely allows for a bit more diversity in the decks that can be built, and it also encourages the use of the other hive cards, and making a fully hive deck, whereas at the moment most people were just playing this as their only hive card, so that it could only ever buff itself. So yeah, a very good fix. I'm glad to see. Next fix I want to discuss is this exotic hive card here, which you get from Wu Ming at rank 20. I actually had a video that was going to come out today instead of this one, where I was going to explain that this card is broken, and by that I mean it was not working as intended. However, as of the patch today, this card is now fixed and is working as intended, so I've had to cancel that video, but that's okay because I'm glad the card is fixed, and it now allows me to make a hive deck and showcase this card. So I'm just going to let play a clip taken from that previously mentioned video that I was going to put out showing the card in its broken state, and then I will play another clip showing it working now following the update. As you can see, I currently have 2 Inspired Hive. I have these 2 here. So when I play my hero, I would expect it to summon the Shade, and then the Shade to be buffed by 2 Inspired Hive. However, if we look what happens, it summons the Shade, and then as you see, the Shade says this unit gains 4 power for every Inspired Hive on your field. So this should gain 4 times 2. It should gain 8 power, but nothing happens. Watch. The Shade never changed. So I am once again on round 6, and this time I have 4 Inspired Hive. So now when I play the Shade, and well, play the exotic card and it spawns a Shade, let's see what happens. So as expected, the Shade gained plus 16 power, 4 times 4, and as you saw, that happened before I even click the end turn button. It happens as soon as the Shade spawns. So this card is now working as expected. So as we just saw, that is now fixed and this card is working as intended. I'm very glad to see that it is fixed, because I did say when recording that video that I've had to cancel that until this gets fixed, I would not be putting out a build video discussing the Hive cards, because really there was no point in using them. The most powerful exotic card for the Hive wasn't even working, and that in combination with the Ogre bug that I discussed earlier in this video meant that there was really no point in even running a Hive deck. You should just run the Ogre as your only Hive card. But now that both of these issues have been fixed in the same update, which to be honest I was not expecting, but I'm very glad to see that they were fixed quickly. I do plan on releasing a video discussing the Hive cards and making a Hive build in the near future. So now I'm just going to go through some of the triumphs that have changed with the update today. And as a result of this change, I now have the Duelist title for Shadowshaper. So as we can see in the maintenance notes, it does say it is reduced the difficulty for some Shadowshaper triumphs. From what I can see, they are 3 triumphs, and they are the card Enthusiast Triumph, which previously used to say collect 30 cards. However, if I now look in my list, card Enthusiast is just to collect 10 cards. The second one is card Collector, which used to previously require 60 cards, and I was actually at 59 out of 60. However, if we now check, card Collector requires only 40, and this is actually the triumph that awards the Ikora exotic card. And then finally, the Reigning Champ triumph, which used to previously require 33 duelists on all difficulties, and to get that you would have had to reach rank 29 and duel Saladin, because he is a rank 29 duelist. However, they have now reduced it only to 30, which doesn't sound like a lot. However, the highest level duelist in the list, if you click on the triumph, it lists for you all the people you have to duel. And the highest level duelist is the Speaker, who is a level 19 duelist. So it is now possible to unlock this triumph once you hit rank 19, and this is the triumph which gives you the Tan card. So overall, although they've only changed 3 triumphs, it has made it a lot easier, especially the change here to Reigning Champ. Rank 19 as opposed to rank 29 is a significant reduction, in how long you would have to wait before you unlock that triumph. So overall, I think these are some good changes and certainly make it easier to unlock the Shadowshaper title.